It's hilarious that the Kansas City Star writes a column that is headlined Reality Check. I mean, of all outlets in this town, write a column that is titled Reality Check. I've got a reality check here for the Kansas City Star on their recent reality check, okay? You following along at 7:05 on a Monday? Welcome back. 95.7 FM KCMO, of course, streaming all morning long, all day long on the KCMO Talk Radio app. This was the headline story Sunday. Kansas City roads are more deadly than ever. So why is traffic enforcement declining? Wonders the Kansas City Star. Maybe because you idiots have attacked the police for the better part of half a decade. So cops don't want to do and are not encouraged to do their job because clowns like yourselves have not backed the blue. Whoa!
Talk about a bombshell.
There's a novel concept. It's like they have no self-awareness when they write this stuff. Here's what they write in their piece. Kansas City has a deadly problem. Traffic crashes are claiming lives at a faster rate than ever before. But as fatal crashes have soared, writes the Star, police traffic enforcement has plummeted. As of the end of June, 49 people have been killed on the city's roads and highways this year. That is up from 39 for the same time last year, an increase of nearly 26%. Police say a common theme is playing out with this year's increase in fatal crashes. Excessively high speeds, lack of seatbelts, impaired drivers. Sometimes all three at once. While police place the blame on drivers' risky behaviors, an analysis by the Star found that police traffic enforcement efforts to curb unsafe behavior have been declining for years. Since 2020, Kansas City police have issued nearly 63% fewer traffic citations, even while the number of fatal wrecks has skyrocketed. Well, what happened in 2020? Bueller? Oh, yeah, that's right. There was a national and a local movement to discredit, defund, and destroy the business of policing. It also happened to come months after the Cameron Lamb situation involving Eric DeValcanaire, which was theoretically going to be a routine traffic stop, right? What was Cameron Lamb doing before he was shot by Eric DeValcanaire? He was racing through a residential neighborhood at something like nearly 100 miles an hour, and that turned into a high-speed police chase, which ended up with Cameron Lamb, of course, getting killed by Eric DeValcanaire. And that cop is now finding himself in a prison cell.
We could probably solve this, though, if we let the social workers hired issue traffic tickets.
Yes, you're right.
That.
The social workers, if they have a therapist with them.
Why are you going so fast?
I know. Get a little therapy session in there while they're writing up the ticket.
How'd that make you feel?
Yes, great idea, John. Gosh, these clowns have all the answers, don't they? Why do you think it is that cops in Kansas City are not going about writing traffic citations? First off, we all get pulled over. We have been pulled over. And the reality is there is no such thing as a routine traffic stop. You don't know what you're walking into. And we've got many examples of things that should have been routine traffic stops ending with cops ending up in prison, cops getting killed, the poor cop up in North Kansas City, the guy in Fairway, the DeValcanaire story. You've got all these different situations that you can point to here in this town in the last couple of years where traffic stops have been anything but routine. And when you're a cop in this town and you feel like the city council doesn't have your back, you certainly feel like the prosecutor doesn't have your back, and you feel like you are a man or a woman out in an island. I mean, yes, you're going to do your job, but are you going to go out of your way? Are you going to do the little bit extra that can be or needs to be done on things like routine traffic stops? When you've seen your fellow officers try to do their jobs and end up destroying their lives, losing their pensions, going to prison and the whole thing, are you going to do that? I mean, the lack of self-awareness on the recent history in this town from the Kansas City Star is truly stunning to me.
Well, and if they were enforcing tickets, and perhaps one of the employees of the Star got one of those tickets, then we'd hear about I don't know why they're out here giving out tickets when the murder rate is so high in this city.
Yeah, or you know what they would do? That's a great point, John. Here's the other thing they would do. If they gave more tickets on a percentage basis to black Kansas Cityans, you know what they would scream about.
Yeah.
They would scream about how traffic tickets are racist. That's what the next thing would be that.
Couple of ways to go, isn't there?
There are a couple of ways to go. They would scream about how traffic tickets based on a percentage of the population, black people, Hispanic people.
Income.
Exactly. They're hitting the low-income communities. They're banging them with traffic tickets. I mean, we've heard that argument before.
Meanwhile, thousands of unpaid traffic tickets exist in this city.
Exactly right. That's what they would do. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you go to the high crime areas and you start cracking down on things like speeding and seatbelt laws, you're going to have the same people now wondering, gosh, what happened to all the traffic enforcement screaming about racism?
Temp tags or people that park
Bingo.
the opposite way on the wrong side of the street, all those things you're not supposed to do.
Yes, that would be the next thing. And they even note this a little bit. They don't really dive into it here in Kansas City, but they note this in this Dopey Star piece. They write here, black and brown drivers are pulled over at higher rates because of racial profiling. They write that in the story. So now if you're a cop and you're driving through high crime areas of Kansas City and you can stop people who are, not turning on their blinker, who are going 10 miles over the speed limit, you can do that. But you also could find yourself up as the next Eric DeValcanaire. So you can either close your eyes for 2 seconds and let it go, or you can put yourself potentially in that kind of a position where you put yourself and your family and your life at risk. And in this town, with this prosecutor's office, with this political leadership, you're going to tell me you're surprised cops aren't going out of their way to do proactive policing? Can you sit here and blame them right now? I can't. I can't do it. The actions of these people, and I'll include the Star and their dopey editorial board and their horrible coverage the last half a decade, their actions have consequences. Cops are human beings. And they have had, this show and maybe a couple of others have had their back, broadly speaking. It doesn't mean that we defend them when they break the law or do things out of line, but broadly speaking, defend the idea that law enforcement is for the benefit of communities, is inherently good, and we need proactive policing to keep people safe. And it's not just about murders. It's about things like traffic enforcement and things that we perceive to be not big deals, but actually are big deals. Because the people who are doing things like flying through residential areas at 75, 80 miles an hour are more likely to be people that'll commit other crimes as well. I know that might surprise some of you, but that's a reality of the situation. So none of this is a stunner. I guess the only thing stunning about this is the Kansas City Star lacks such self-awareness to look at an article like this, to actually write an article like this saying the Kansas City roads are more deadly than ever. Why is traffic enforcement declining? And not realize the broader picture and the role that they in part play in that, John.
Well, it seemed to be an inference if more tickets for white people would take care of this. Right?
Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe that's it. Oh, man. Pete, this is on the text line. I just passed a Mercedes a couple of years old with a temp tag on it of October 7th of 23. Yeah, we got a temp tag problem, too, in this town. Trust me, I see them as much as you do. And, a part of me wonders how much that would be considered racial profiling as well if you started hammering people who were, 6 months expired on their temp tags. I love looking at temp tags because the more I see them, the more I'm like, gosh, people just do not care. They don't. They don't give one rip at all about any of this stuff, it seems like.